That is how you kick off a Victory Monday. Brand new intro to the show. Browns looking better. They got to win this defense. Whoa. Wow. Always feels better after a win. A lot of questions answered, maybe some new questions to arise. And the biggest question of all, we're getting there, is Deshaun Watson getting back to form. All of that, we feel so good about it because it all comes with a victory and a Victory Monday edition right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. Ryan, well done. Brand new intro to the show. It was beautiful.
Thank you, Matt.
You actually asked me the question if it was too much Batman. And I looked at you and I said, I'm sorry, is there such a thing in the world as too much Batman?
I should have known better.
You should have known better, but it's a brand new intro to the show. Not a brand new show. We're here. We're live this morning, kicking things off, and it's just so good. A Victory Monday always feels good. It always feels better. And, man, I'm not saying it was perfect. Well, it was perfect on one side of the football because that Browns defense doing things that we literally have never seen, well, at least in 20-odd some years from the Cleveland Browns. Super impressive on that side of things. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination on offense, but you saw what you needed to out of Deshaun Watson. He seems to be turning around. We'll talk Kevin Stefanski. We'll talk the run game. We will talk about that horrendous blown call. Again, it's easier to sit here today and discuss a real big issue I think the NFL has after that game yesterday. Took away that Amari Cooper touchdown, but it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things because the Browns really took care of business and dominated the Titans 27-3. You improved to 2-1. It was another win at home that you needed, and now we set up with a massive game coming up this weekend against Baltimore. Again, back at home here at First Energy Stadium, Cleveland Browns Stadium, right there. Felt good. Felt damn good. Got the Browns helmet out front. Maybe that's something you start doing, Ryan, for a little bit of good luck here for the Browns. Good vibes on a Victory Monday.
Amazing vibes. And, Matt, I'm excited for our Twitter question. I'm excited to see what people have to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And the fun part about being able to ask these questions is it's coming from a scope of the Browns won, we feel good, and we know that there's still more out there, right? This isn't a game that the Browns won that you go, wow, that was a real shocker out there. They played like the better football team, and let's call it for what it is. They kicked the Titans' ass. I mean, they dominated them. And specifically on the defensive side of the football, you held Derrick Henry to 20 rushing yards on a 2-yard average. It's pretty damn good. You sacked Ryan Tannehill 5 times. Myles Garrett, 3.5 of those. And Kevin Stefanski said after the game, too, you think teams aren't coming in here saying, yeah, we got to stop 95, and we're going to do things to not let him wreck our game, and oh, wait, he's still wrecking the game on this defense. We're going to hear from Myles coming up a little bit later because I thought he said something after the game that really resonated with me about a key piece of why this defense is playing the way that they're playing. We'll hear from Watson. We'll hear from Kevin Stefanski as well. But let's get to our Twitter question. We're going to post this morning at Matt Fontana Show. Drop us a follow. We're getting closer to that 200 list there, 200 followers, I should say, on Twitter. Appreciate everybody joining us each and every morning here on the Matt Fontana Show. Get us on iHeart. You can get us on Facebook. You can get us, of course, on YouTube. But I think a lot of people, they follow on the stream, on the social media platform, the Twitter there, if you will, at Matt Fontana Show. So get us there. The question is, after Deshaun Watson's game yesterday, where he set it was his second best completion percentage of his career. He was a stellar 27 out of 33, 289, 2 touchdowns, no pick. He was sacked 3 times, made some plays with his feet too, extending some plays out, some design runs, all of that. With that in mind, specific to Watson today, how are you feeling when it comes to Deshaun Watson? Are you feeling a lot better, a little better, unchanged, or do you feel worse? And I'd be open to seeing people that say it was worse. The going down for a sack and throwing the football backwards, that wasn't good. Okay, that wasn't good. The trip on the opening play, it's a Victory Monday, so I'm just infused with positivity this morning, and I'm just infused with feeling good about the Browns. Can I spin the opening play in a positive way, Ryan?
Please try.
It's a bootleg. He trips over Jerome Ford, gets up and completes the pass. That actually screamed to me, and I thought this when it happened. That's growth from Deshaun Watson, because at least he had the wherewithal to not panic and pressure to stand up and complete the pass. He could have got up and started freaking out or trying to run or do that play where he flipped it backwards. He could have really got himself into a pickle there, and he said, no, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to complete this pass. I thought that was growth from everything that we talk about with Watson. The completion percentage was great. Took some deep shots here and there, but he only had an 8.8 average. I mean, that's not something insane or crazy in the pass game. But you saw what Kevin Stefanski wanted to do even early. Let's get some passes under Watson's belt. Let's start to get him comfortable. And I thought, Ryan, that again, right there, that was a little bit of growth from Watson from the pocket presence standpoint. Of all the things that we were getting nitpicky about with Watson or things that we didn't like in the Cincinnati game or even the Pittsburgh game, a lot of it came back for me of his pocket presence. And was he getting skittish in the pocket, or was he forcing throws or not making the reads that he wanted to? So for me, seeing him trip on the first play, stand up and still complete it tells me, like, all right, he's starting to get his legs back under him, which again is funny because he tripped and he didn't. But I just felt like that was a play that he probably felt a little more comfortable back there,
Yeah, maybe next week we'll just get a normal first play.
That'd
of the
be
game.
fine. That's okay.
The Steelers game, we have a pick six.
Yeah.
Then you know what? We got a little bit better. Deshaun avoided disaster. So maybe the first game against the Ravens, it'll just be a really nice clean play.
Maybe just a first down. I'll just ask for a first down on the first play from the Ravens. But our Twitter question is going to go up at Matt Fontana Show. After that game, how do you feel about Deshaun Watson? Do you feel better? A lot better? A little better? You're unchanged? Or somehow you feel worse? Vote on that at Matt Fontana Show. It's up there with the stream. Follow us there. And we'll have all your reaction taking you up till 9 o'clock this morning. Or assuming we start at 9 o'clock. It'd be weird if we were taking you up till 9 o'clock. We'd be done. Take you up till 11 o'clock this morning here on the show. We can't go any further without talking about this defense. That is 18 points allowed in 3 games. You had the pick six and you had 2 defensive touchdowns and the fumble against the Steelers. 2 games where you've given them 2 field goals. And I'm not going to sit here and act like the Tennessee Titans or to the offense of the Bengals, or I don't even know, man. Watching last night, I kind of figured the Steelers they were going to kind of turn around a little bit. Raiders defense is not good. Tipico. Cash. It was a good night for us there. Good day, really. We'll get to our around the league. We'll have our pick segment too. But pretty good day on Tipico. Use that code BIGPLAY150. But I'm not going to act like the Titans are an elite offense. They have one elite guy, and that's Derrick Henry, and you held him to 20 yards rushing. So what this defense is doing, and yeah, it starts with Myles Garrett, which is great. And I tweeted my good, the bad, and the ugly. I said Myles Garrett made his Defensive Player of the Year statement yesterday. So, oh, no, it's still TJ Watt. I'm not going to sit here and put the stamp on it that Myles Garrett's going to win Defensive Player. I can't do that. 3 games in, I can't. But he's in the running, and you watch a game like that. And it's something where I don't even know if we in this town can fully appreciate it. Because Myles has always been here. He's always played at a high level. But even watching Sunday Night Football last night, and you watch the TJ Watts of the world, and you watch the Micah Parsons of the world, and you watch the Nick Bosas of the world, guys that are just like Myles Garrett, that are unstoppable. And this is a league and a world where the guys on the other side of the football are still elite. Those are the best players, the best offensive tackles, the best offensive players in the league. I get, or not the league, but the world, right? Just the fact that you are a starting player on one of 32 teams, you're probably pretty good at what you do. And Myles Garrett is just a level better than almost everybody. To the fact that 2 plays in a row, got a holding call, and then forced them into a false start by just standing there. Andre Dillard had a nightmare last night, and he woke up and it was Myles Garrett in cold sweat thinking about Myles Garrett eating his lunch again. All over it. So impressive. And I just think I need to do this. I imagine some Browns fans do too. We are truly witnessing one of the best defensive players that has ever played the game for the Cleveland Browns. Ever. And Clay Matthews was very good, and Michael Dean Perry. And I think for the Browns, a lot of our our best players usually on offense, right? Jim Brown is one of the best that we've ever had, or one of the best to ever play the game. Otto Graham, Lou Gross, I get it. Defensively, I think of a lot of DBs, Hanford and all that, and Clay Matthews is right there, but I don't think it's hyperbole either. Myles Garrett is the best defensive player to ever play the game for the Cleveland Browns. Ever. And that's a long, historical franchise. And the things that I see him do, he is a generational pass rusher. And you have offenses that come in here saying that we can't let him do things, and he still said, okay, watch this. Triple teams and chips and all that stuff. Man, is he good. And this defense in general, they are flying around. The speed that is there, the fact that they were able to do what they did to the Tennessee Titans, and nothing was really flashy. Yeah, there's some blitzes here, and you had some DBs creeping up. Ryan, for the vast majority of that game, it was as simple as, we are going to line up and beat you. Jordan Elliott beating guys. Like, Obo Okoronkwo seems to be a great signing there this offseason. I am just watching this defensive line dominate right now.
I mean, I was trying to get the video up, but the video of the Titans and the two tight ends just following Myles Garrett, whichever side of the line he goes to.
Yeah,
because they
know they need timeout.
They need that many bodies just to block Myles Garrett.
And that was so funny to watch. If you have we'll see if we can pull the video up. But there is a clip of the game that you watch offense's motion. Myles was basically motioning. He started on one side, walked to the other. You watch two tight ends follow him, and then he went back the other way. The Titans had to call timeout because they didn't know where he was going to go. Could you imagine what that does to an offense when you have to stare at a guy and go, we just need to run away from him, or we need to stay away from him, let alone holding Ryan Tannehill, who I don't think is very good anyway, to 104 yards passing. I mean, this defense, and it's also a question probably for later this week, but it's then taking... All right, here's the question. And this is a crazy one that I want to post. We'll do it later in the week, but our question today is surrounding Watson. Ryan, with this defense playing the way that they are, is that taking pressure off of Deshaun Watson or putting pressure on Deshaun Watson? It'd be easy to say, oh, it takes pressure off of him, right? Because they're playing so well and they can kind of mask some mistakes and they're going to keep them in the game, right? Sure, I understand that. But the flip side of that is, now you know that this is all on the offense. You know that this is all on the offense to get things figured out. And yesterday was a perfect melt. Yesterday was a borderline perfect game for the Cleveland Browns. Relatively mistake-free on offense. Run game we'll talk about. But the defense, I don't know what that is. It lessening? It certainly is lessening the gap, right? You don't need Deshaun Watson to play to some uber exuberant level to win football games, because that's how damn good this defense is. But then the pressure starts to say, but you have to play to a level. Like, did Deshaun Watson, was he the best quarterback yesterday? No, that would be Tua. Holy cow. Whoa. I don't know who the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos are, but I'm shocked they have a job today. We'll get to that around league coming up. That's my thing. Of yesterday, of watching all the quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson played to a what? Top 12, top 10 level? Maybe that's all you need anymore. And especially with how this defense is playing, it is amazing to see. Absolutely amazing to see. Back to the offensive side of things. Yeah, running the football is not what you expected it to be. And I think eventually there will be more Kareem Hunt. Good to see him get a couple of carries here. That's fine. I was happy to see Jerome Ford just get into the end zone. Obviously, he had his first career touchdown last week, right? And then 2 touchdowns yesterday, 1 through the air. That's kind of the mark of, we were so spoiled with Nick Chubb, which, by the way, only an MCL tear. If you missed the news that came out, apparently so this is what came out, that after that knee injury with Nick Chubb, that he only tore his MCL and potentially stretched his ACL. They have to have surgery to kind of figure it out. Like, oh my gosh.
I don't know if anybody else out there will get this unless they know Marvel, but I think he's made out of vibranium.
Something. It's an indestructible metal. Wolverine. It's, Captain America's shield. Good pull. Good reference. But and I also had somebody tweeted me. They go, "That's why you squat." All those videos of Nick Chubb squatting 600, 700 pounds. I would have to imagine that might have helped in this situation. And I'm being cautiously optimistic on Chubb. I think that is fantastic news. I think the fact that they said they expect a full recovery, because I really was nervous that this was a career impactor, all that kind of stuff. So just continued good thoughts to Nick Chubb. Amazing news over that. But we did get spoiled with a guy like Nick Chubb. And we need to understand, as I assume Kevin Stefanski will, that a run game is nice, but you saw what the Tennessee Titans had with an elite running back. When you cannot throw the football and when you don't have other playmakers, you are not going to win football games. This is not an outlandish take. If you're going to ask me, would I rather have a dominant running game or a dominant passing game? Of course you're going to take a dominant passing game. Did you see what the Dolphins did? Did you see what Patrick Mahomes did? Good for Travis Kelce scoring a touchdown with his lady friend there. It always feels good. We're going back to high school days there. Your lady friend shows up, or your guy friend, whatever. You want to put up 1,000 points on the basketball court. You want to score 100 touchdowns. For wrestling, for me, you always wanted to get the pin. You had to go out there and show out. Good for him. Good for Travis Kelce. Interesting stuff going on there. We'll get to that coming up.
So sick of hearing about it, though.
Are you really?
Already.
What do you mean?
On my Twitter, I scroll 2 seconds. It's
not ending. It's on Good Morning.
Second.
You know who absolutely loves this? Roger Goodell. Do you know why? Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
You know how many Swifties are going to buy a Travis Kelce jersey?
Hell yeah. Do you know how many Swifties were just probably watching the game? Never once watched an NFL game. That's all. I mean, the ratings are what they care about. You're right. The Kelce jersey, all that. But just Goodell's, just, yes. Yes. Just cha-ching. All this money is coming in. And yeah, will they probably break up in 9 months? I'm not wishing that. I'm really not. But it's just Hollywood relationships usually don't go well. I hope this is the one that lasts. Don't you say that about everyone? Like, oh, this one's going to last. I hope so. I hope it works out. But yeah, Goodell's sitting there just going, oh man, if we can get on the back of Taylor Swift, just go ahead, print some more money while we're at it. He loves it. But you would always take the passing offense that, Mahomes has, that Tua has, because that's what the NFL has and that's what they're set up to do. That's maybe the time, that's maybe now where we need to start going. You got to have an elite quarterback. And I think there's that world that Deshaun Watson should be elite. Were there glimpses of him getting back to form? Yes. And I was extremely critical after the Steelers game. Extremely critical. I was critical after the Bengals game. And that's why I sit here today on our Twitter question this morning. How are you feeling about Deshaun Watson's performance against the Titans? I'm just a little better. This is progress. I want to see progress. But I'm also not going to act like all the problems are solved. There were still some bad plays. There were still the pressure. Let's talk about that for a second. Because that is something that I think a lot of people looked at and wanted to say about Deshaun Watson as far as trying to find a reason about why maybe he was playing so poorly. Was it the rust? Was it this? Was it that? But I think what a lot of people brought up was the pressure that he came here with this contract, that it's a franchise that, again, we all know where we want to go and the things we want to do. And there's something special about playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And this isn't meant to be a shot at other franchises or anything like that, but in this town, the quarterback is usually the most popular athlete in town. And I'm not saying that Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb aren't, that Jose Ramirez isn't, that Donovan Mitchell isn't, Darius Garland. I get it. But it's a Browns town. I get it. And there's something special about playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. There's inherent pressure with that. There's inherent pressure on just being a starting quarterback in the NFL. And that, I'm not dismissing it because I get it, but I'm also asking him that you're going to have to deal with that because it's not going to go away. It's just not. And people are going to throw bouquets when you win, and they're going to call for your job when you lose. That's what happens as a head coach and a quarterback in the NFL. So I feel better about where Deshaun is going and the things that are turning, and I just hope to see that continued growth. But I expect it, and I'm not going to apologize for expecting it. I'm not going to apologize to hold Deshaun Watson to a higher standard because he holds himself to a higher standard, and I know he's good. This is not Baker Mayfield. This is not Colt McCoy. This is not Brandon Weeden or Deshaun Kyle, any of those other guys. You want to know why? Those guys were all unproven. And if you want to bring up about how many games Deshaun Watson has played here and he hasn't really even played enough to prove anything, that's bullcrap because I know he's good. Think about this. When is the last time the Cleveland Browns brought in a proven good veteran quarterback? I'm not talking Josh McCown, not a shot at Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer was good. Jeff Garcia is the name that comes to mind. And you know he cost you Ben Roethlisberger, right? You know that, right, Ryan?
No.
You didn't know that?
I didn't.
So Butch Davis was the head coach of the Browns and like pseudo general manager. And he spent a bunch of money to bring Jeff Garcia in from the 49ers. Could have drafted Roethlisberger. And they didn't because they signed Jeff Garcia. So he took Kellen Winslow instead, his boy from Miami. There you go. We all know how that worked out. So you can thank Jeff Garcia for that. Literally. And then before that, maybe Holcomb bit too. But none of those guys, and Jeff Garcia was a good quarterback, I think had appeared in a Super Bowl at that point. Maybe even won one. I don't know. I haven't thought about Jeff Garcia in a long time. So, okay, when you brought him in, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler. You brought him in 2004 after his stint in San Francisco where he was a 3-time Pro Bowler. Never won a Super Bowl. But Deshaun Watson, to that point, I think well, I'm not here to compare. That was 20 years ago, right? But what I'm saying is that's why the pressure is there, and it's not going to subside. It can with wins, and there's an element of that he maybe needs to he's going to figure out kind of how to deal with it, and it's even different than how he was when he was playing for the Texans, right? No offense to the Texans. They're not the Browns. They're not. And yeah, they made the playoffs once, but it's just different. So I also don't want this game where I was glad that Watson felt good. And I believe this with the leadership of Kevin Stefanski, that they're going to feel good about it. And then you got to turn your attention right to Baltimore, right? There's a huge matchup this weekend after their loss to the Colts, right? 2-1. Same thing for the Steelers. Big game ready for the Bengals. Oh boy. We'll get to Tipico bets for tonight. Monday Night Football. Tipico Big Play 150. Use that code to get signed up. Get some free bets there at Tipico. But you feel good, you take it, but I want them to just continue to roll. Continue to get it figured out. Because I know this defense has got it figured out. They do. But make no mistake, there is going to be a game that you're going to need the offense to show up. Defense cannot keep doing this. They just can't. Or maybe they can. I don't know. They just go down as one of the best defenses of all time. They're on a great pace. They're leading the NFL in third down conversion. Less than 20%. Less than 20%, Ryan, on third down. Those are money down. You're getting off the field there. Your sacks, your pass deflections. And you did that without Greg Newsome yesterday, too, by the way. You were missing a starter on that defense, and they showed up and they played really well. My focus will continue to be on the offense. It just will be. Because I know that is going to be the key for the most success. Yesterday was good. I saw some positive things. I saw some good things from Deshaun Watson. So in our Twitter question this morning, I'm going to vote. I feel a little better. A little better. Not a lot better. Honestly, I thought about unchanged, and that's not fair either. That's not fair either to say unchanged. Because I can't, I didn't watch that game sitting there and say, okay, here's the same old offense, or here's the thing. It was different. It was clear what Kevin Stefanski wanted to do. Short passes, we'll open up the deep pass a little bit later, but you needed to let Watson kind of ease into the game, and he did. So I feel a little bit better about where the Browns are at, specifically with Deshaun Watson. Ryan, cast your vote this morning. We're up at Matt Fontana Show. How are you feeling about Deshaun Watson after his performance about the Titans? A lot better, a little better, indifferent, or you feel a little worse?
Well, comparing week 2 to week 3, I do feel a lot better, I'll say. And granted,
you can go week to week. That's fine.
Yeah, granted, the Titans' pass defense we know is pretty bottom tier in the NFL this year. Mm-hmm. However, there was a lot of pretty solid throws that Deshaun made. He put it on the money exactly where he needed to be. he became reminiscent of what we saw in Houston of being that kind of escape artist in the pocket, which was very encouraging. And gosh, just seeing the Browns offense, I just want to talk about Jerome Ford for a second.
Yeah, I want to bring him
on that touchdown pass that he caught. If you go back and look, he routed up that DB. It was a pretty filthy route, and it was really good to see.
And the thing about Ford with where this defense is going, or I'm sorry, where this offense is going to go, you first realize how good Nick Chubb is, because it's easy to get trapped in, we have a good offensive line, and it's a lot of the offensive line. This is not meant to be a shot at Jerome Ford, but a lot of it Nick Chubb. And I'm not saying that there isn't a day that Kareem Hunt doesn't start getting more carries. I'm going to be nitpicky for just a second. They got to get a better effort on the ground. 78 yards is a team, that's fine. Pierre Strong actually was your leading rusher yesterday. Jerome Ford. Usually you would say it's a good thing that he had the same average on the ground as Derrick Henry. Not yesterday. They both had a 1.8 yard per average carry. I was happy that Elijah Moore got a couple of carries. Oh, yeah, we'll get to the reverses. Okay, some of that's got you knocked out, sure. But, yeah, that running attack and that rushing attack, you're going to need it to show up more than it did. And I'm not trying to rush things, to use a bad pun there. I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse. Ryan just shakes his head. I'm sorry. That was a bad one. Not trying to push things, if you will. But the rushing attack is eventually going to have to just be adequate. Yesterday, we won. Great. Awesome. It's going to have to get better. It's going to have to get a little bit better with the rushing attack when it comes to Jerome Ford. Another negative from yesterday, and I'm going to try to keep this on the rails. That is inexcusable, what happened to Amari Cooper. In a world that the NFL's got their hands out to take a big fat chunk and bite out of the rear end of some of these sports books, you're going to let that happen? As a Browns fan, I don't care necessarily they won, okay? It'd have been a lot different had they not, and it'd been a lot different if somehow the Titans won by 1 or 3 or something points. What I just am at a failure to understand is, with all of the camera angles and all of the things that you have in the NFL, how does that happen? And it'll probably get glossed over because the NFL doesn't want to make this a bigger deal than it is. That is inexcusable. We had the Saints play against the Rams in the NFC Championship game. I'm talking about these blatant plays. These blatant plays that, like, the biggest issue on that was that they didn't allow the play to continue. Because if you just let the play continue, then you have a touchdown, and if you review it, you can always call them out of bounds and bring it back and put the football down. Here's where the NFL is messing up. And you saw it again last night with that hit on Mika Fitzpatrick. It was a clean hit on Jimmy Garoppolo, and they still called roughing the passer, right? Okay, you hit him in the helmet a little bit. Okay, fine. The NFL is so concerned about player safety, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be, but the reason that they blow those plays dead is because they don't want guys to get hurt. Seriously. They have told the referees to be quick on the whistle in plays like that because they don't want the extra play going on. When in reality, when it's something like that, let it go on. But their fear is that Amari Cooper starts running down the field, he takes an unnecessary hit, gets a concussion, tears his ACL, and then you find out he was out of bounds the whole time, when in reality, he wasn't even close. What was that side judge looking at? We've all watched the video. I think he was staring at him. I don't know. You want to know my theory? I think he saw the yardage marker and thought that was out of bounds. I don't have another explanation. I really don't. Amari Cooper wasn't even close. But he stepped on the yardage marker that is white, just like the out of bounds, and maybe the ref thought it was, I don't know. I have no idea. And again, it's all under the scheme that the Browns want. It's all under the umbrella that they want. But that's something, if I'm the NFL officiating crew or division or whatever, I'm sitting down and going, okay, wait, what are we going to do here? And the answer is to let the play go on. I'm sorry. Football is a physical game. Guys are going to get concussions. They're going to get hurt. And the NFL, as much as they try to make it safe, it's not. And frankly, Ryan, I don't think will ever be a safe sport. Your job is to launch your body into another human being and take them to the ground when they don't want to go down. Injuries are going to happen. So in a play like that, well, what would you rather sacrifice, a touchdown or an injury? The integrity of the game is what cannot be sacrificed. In this era of sports betting, in this era where things like that are going to be looked upon and going, well, wait a minute, we can't be having that. And that wasn't the Super Bowl. That's the most bet on event in history. That wasn't some big playoff game. But when you have the technology to correct it, when you have every single little camera angle out there, I don't understand why the default needs to be let the play go on. The default has got to be let the play finish out. And if we need to bring it back, we can always bring it back. But what you can't do is let it go, because once the whistle blows, it's over. And there's been, guys that get in a scrum pile and then all of a sudden the running back gets out and takes off and they blow the whistle dead. I get all of that. And granted, again, this is all from when I'm getting nitpicky on some of the bad things. There was one other bad thing from yesterday. We'll get to that. That was one that the NFL's got to answer for that. And they'll say that, okay, it was a wrong call and all that. But what are you going to do to fix that moving forward? Like, what are you going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again? Because rest assured, the NFL, they can't be having that. They can't be having that. Not in the world that we live in.
Matt, how do you feel about, because I was on Twitter yesterday after all that big debacle.
Follow Ryan at Ryan Tyler 33,
Thank you,
by the way.
Thank you for the plug. And obviously it was a horrendous call. There's no denying that. How do you feel about, and I feel like the vast majority in Cleveland, the opinion is that the refs have screwed them over more than other teams. Do you think that is some truth to it, or do you think it's more just confirmation bias by Browns fans?
No, I mean, the thing is, when you have human, referees, umpires, there's always going to be bias. It's impossible not to. And these refs are to a situation where they're meant to try to just make the right calls on the field no matter what. And that is something that, to be honest, football is different than baseball. Baseball, I'm actually all for the robo-umps. I really am. They can bring them in, keep the umpires on the field, I guess, for something, like just not slow it down. Strike zone should be automatic. We're in that position. I'm sure the MLPA, they want it. It's consistent. That's different. Football, when you have 22 people on a given play, there's holding on every play, what is defensive pass interference? How many flags did they pick up in that game last night? When you look at, even for the Browns, there were a couple that you look at and you go, okay, now you're going to throw the flag. And that's where, don't tell me the rest of the game that side judge wasn't going to lean towards making a call for the Browns. I tweeted that. The Titans were complaining about calls. I go, you have no right. You have no right to complain about a call after what happened there. But it'll always be a part of the game, which I think is fine. Get the Browns, that's not, no. You want to know why? You want to know the easiest answer why? The NFL is better when a team like the Browns are good. Because we are a passionate fan base that's going to buy jerseys and tune in and pay for the red zone package or pay for Sunday ticket if you're out of town. Like, they know that the Browns are one of those teams that when they're good, that's good for the NFL. And they also want turnover, right? They love being able to say that there are new teams on the rise. The NFL is set up to a point where they want everybody to go 500. They would love nothing more than everybody to go 9 or 8 or 8 or 9, and everybody is in it. The Browns are one of those teams, though. They stand above the rest. They stand above a lot of teams as far as the fan base. So the NFL wants us to be good, and we haven't been good in so long. What they want is a little cycle to get, they want teams to cycle out. They want the Patriots to kind of suck for a little bit, get some fresh blood up in here. And if anything, and this is a credit to you out there listening and watching, if you have a generation of sons or daughters or grandsons or granddaughters or nieces or nephews that were born within the last 20 years and they're still Browns fans, God bless you. Thank God. Because it'd have been easy to say, I'm going to go find some other team for them to root for because the Browns are bad. My son and daughter, proud Browns fans. They have no choice in that. Sorry. It is what it is. But the NFL wants that because what are you doing now with the Browns potentially being good? You are cultivating the next generation of fans that in 20 years will have some coin in their pocket that are going to go pay for season tickets and pay $400 freaking dollars for a jersey. Not knocking the hustle. I get it. Whatever. Fine. They want that. So the referee thing, no. I think it's an easy answer because we get frustrated. And it's an easy answer to say they're out to get the Browns. I really don't think that. And that actually, in a way, Ryan, would be a more acceptable answer than just ineptitude, right? These refs are supposed to be the best. They're paid to be that way. And just ineptness is almost, that's worse. That's worse to just say we screwed this up. And an NFL game is fast. It's got to be a split-second thing. My thing is the repercussion. My thing is the next step of how it's not corrected with all the cameras, with just the world that we live in. Like, to let that go that way. But again, hey, we won. It was great. And another thing from yesterday. Amari Cooper is so good.
Dog.
He's so good, man. And I've wanted a little bit more for Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I've wanted a little more for Elijah Moore. That's fine. Amari Cooper on PFF is the 10th best wide receiver in the NFL. 10th. He is damn good. We know the precision with the route running. And it's a little, I'm starting to see it. That Watson to Cooper connection, man. That's it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. I think Chris Rose mentioned this on the broadcast yesterday. Was that the first touchdown pass from Watson to Cooper? I don't know. I'm shooting from the hip on that. But
very possibly could have been.
Like, get that going. And whatever the future might hold for Amari Cooper, we know the contract situation. We talked with Jack Duffin last week about it a little bit. But you're right. Amari Cooper's a dog, man. And I look back on that trade. That still will go down as one of my favorite trades of all time, of getting him from the Cowboys the way it did. Again, money ruled, and you got him for that deal, and you paid him. What a signing. What a great signing for the Browns. What a great trade for Amari Cooper. And he's really flourishing. And then this is something that, yeah, you don't necessarily need the rest out of Njoku or Moore or that. If you just can keep throwing to Amari Cooper, and eventually they'll start blanking him and you got to figure it out. But even then, Ryan, like, he was just some of the contested catches. The sideline stuff is what gets me. When you see those dart throws up the sidelines, the comeback routes, the one that he drew the PI on when he was trying to come back on the blatant hold, that is the stuff that is drive extenders and the impact on the game. The impact on the game. You know, Coach Stefanski said everybody's got to step up, right? Well, Amari Cooper's stepping up for that void of Nick Chubb.
I really love the catches where, because with the camera angles, it looks like it almost just goes through the DB's body. And they turn around right at the wrong second, and then it just goes right into Amari Cooper's stomach. And it's like, how in the world did you catch that?
He caught a couple that I go, did you see that football? Like, did you really see that football coming, or did you just somehow catch it? All right, I hope to be the last negative thing that we have to bring up. Jed Wills is not getting any better. Ryan was waiting for it the whole time. Oh, my God. Again, we won. This is great. Titans D-line is pretty good. That's something that the Browns are in a box, man. They picked up the fifth-year option. It's fully guaranteed money. You just, man. He is the fourth worst offensive tackle on PFF right now. The fourth worst. Now, the Browns line is not playing, I mean, not necessarily. Like, you have, the interior is fine. Bitonio, Posick, and Teller. Posick is the sixth best center. Bitonio, 17th. Wyatt Teller's the 12th best guard. Top 20 across the board there. Bitonio, some great pull blocks yesterday. I love seeing that. Dwan Jones, figuring it out. Jed Wills, man. It's not getting better. I don't know if it's getting worse, but it's not getting any better. And that is something that I just... It's not for us today. Today's a day of positivity. You won. It's good. It's great. But as they're watching that film in Berea, I'd imagine that they're coming out here saying, okay, we got to start doing something. And the answer is not just an instant fix of Oh, yeah, we'll go trade for somebody. No. I'm talking about it almost is to a point where I think they're scheming the offense to try to help. Like, you got to put a tight end over there. You got to run away from that side, something. It's not for right now. And I think what I maybe need to make the verdict on this show, which I can't because it's going to come up eventually. Like, Ryan, I almost don't want to talk about Jed Wills anymore. Like, I almost don't. I just need to accept that it is what it is. And I just hope that it's not some game-wrecking thing or I don't want to think about it. Like Watson getting hit, whatever. I don't want to talk about it anymore. And I know I can't say that because it's going to get back to that point eventually. Like, it'll come back up. But just for my own sanity, I'm just going to have to leave this go. Know that not everything's going to be perfect. And I'll leave that to Andrew Barry to get it figured out somewhere or another. But Jed Will's not getting any better. And I think it's hurting the offense. To our Twitter question, which is up at ESPN, Matt Fontana Show. And Matt Fontana Show. We're asking everybody this morning, how are you feeling about Deshaun Watson after that game yesterday? Do you feel a lot better, a little better, or in the middle, indifferent, or you feel worse? 58% of the vote, 59% says a little better. 33% says a lot better, which I think is interesting. 10% indifferent, 1% worse. Chad tweets, more confidence in him, but now consistency is going to be the name of the game. Yeah, I mean, he had his second highest career completion percentage in that game yesterday. A couple of field stretchers, but nothing crazy. I think the best thing was I saw Watson, I think, become more comfortable in the pocket, move it with his legs, and find the wide open guy. I'm not going to apologize for completions. That's how I move the chains. Cujo tweets, except for that backwards thing, he looked calm and poised, but man, that backwards thing. Doing too much. And we talked about the pressure that'll always be there. Eventually, I think, Ryan, he will be able to better deal with that. And I think a couple of wins will do that. Couple of wins, get the pressure. But no, that, bad loss. It's just, I don't know how to approach that, right? Because I'm not a sports psychologist, Like, that's a legit thing, a sports psychologist. How you deal with, it's just always going to be there. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, well, just deal with it. And it's not quite that simple. It's not that easy to just say, just deal with it and kind of move forward. But I think the calmness is there. I think he's starting to get a little bit better, figuring it out, and we'll kind of go from there. Vote on our Twitter question up at Matt Fontana Show. Twitter inbox is open as well. At Matt Fontana 83, at Matt Fontana Show. Bill tweets, they don't need to show any... Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, sorry. We're going back to the Taylor Swift conversation. He tweets, they don't need to show her every time anybody did anything. I watched a little of that game on Red Zone and got sick of seeing her.
Preach.
So you're kind of the one.
Preach.
Bill's right there with you on that. They're going to ride this, man, because, again, it's a whole different group of people. It's a lot of money on stage. Folks, make no mistake. They're not showing her on the camera because they actually care about Travis Kelce's relationship. That's money. Every time she is shown, the fact that you can say that one of the most powerful brands in the world is now associated with your brand, you jump on that. For sponsorship dollars, for TV ratings, for everything that it is. You jump on that because it's Taylor Swift.
And Travis has been in like 14 commercials in the last year. I see him on TV so much. Like now he's with the Pfizer. He had the commercial with Andy Reid and the Nuggies.
I hate that commercial.
The Mahomes and Auto. It's like, it's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, he's ascending, and he's going to probably get some kickback from this. Like you said, probably a lot of people ordering Travis Kelce jerseys.
I just don't get it. So, like, are people like just like they love to know every little thing she does throughout her day?
Yeah. I mean, like, and I don't know what that world would be to live in that where they can't walk out of the game. Like that guy got that video of them walking out, and we'll see. It's the world they live in. They're well compensated for it. Well, Ohio State. Yeah. Suck it, Holtz. I was going to text you, Ryan. Could you find that Ryan Day clip for me, please?
I'm sure I can.
Please
easily.
do. Please pull that up. Buckeyes walking it off against Notre Dame. Don't forget Bobby Carpenter's show with Anthony Schlegel every Sunday night. Replay, of course, available. Big Play on Twitter. You can follow the B Carp show right there as well. They have their own Twitter handle. Find it at Big Play. Bobby Carpenter with Anthony Schlegel. They had a lot to talk about. Ohio State walks it off against Notre Dame. And I think the overwhelming part about not just the fact that Ohio State won, but that was actually like a fun football game. If you sat back and you said you were just a fan of football and you wanted to watch, anytime you have a game that comes down to the final drive that you got to put it in the hands of the quarterback to get in position, that's a fun game. Defense seemed to roll. Offense, I can't tell if it was more of like the offense was stagnant or the defense was really good. Travion Henderson's a beast. Emeka Egbuka almost had our Tipico boost. There was a Tipico boost for Ohio State to win and Emeka Egbuka to have a touchdown and got called back. But, dude, what a catch from him to set that touchdown up. The touchdown was fine. The touchdown was great. But that throw and catch from McCord to Egbuka to set it up, holy cow. What a game. So happy for Ohio State to get the win. You would have been, and watching where college football is at too, you want to try to discredit that win. I can't do that for you today. I just can't do it. You watch all these other teams struggling or falling off against it. Yeah, Clemson, Florida State, okay, fine. Tell me who Michigan has played yet, because they haven't. Cupcake. You have to give credit to Ohio State for doing what they did and scheduling a game like this. And they were talking about Jim Lachey and Paul Keels on the broadcast. I had a wedding Saturday night. Shout out to Caleb and Tia. Beautiful wedding. So happy for them. I was happy to be there. But I'm in the car driving, right? And I was listening to the broadcast. And they discussed that in the pregame where this is going to go away. In the world of 12 teams making the college football playoff, and with these super conferences, there will be no need for Ohio State to ever schedule a game against Notre Dame ever again. Sad. Because, when's like Paul Keels even mentioned, he goes, he hadn't even been to South Bend in like 30-odd some years. It's been a long time. But we got one more for you.
I got the Ryan Day audio.
Okay, all right, let's get to the Ryan Day thing. So, well, real quick on the Notre Dame thing. There was a little rivalry there. Yes, the Marcus Freeman thing, part of it too. But there's also this it's Notre Dame. Like in Ohio, in the Midwest, it's if you usually root for whatever your college is, and Notre Dame is usually always second, right? That's how it goes. If you're in Indiana, you root for the Hoosiers, you root for Purdue, and then you root for Notre Dame. You're in Ohio, you probably root for Ohio State, and Notre Dame's usually second. I know plenty of people that are Ohio State, Notre Dame, in that order. And it's a fun game to watch from that standpoint, but there seemed to be a little bit of rivalry here, a little bit of bad blood. And it's sad to say that, we won't get that anymore. Because moving forward, there will never be a need for them to schedule hard out-of-conference games again. So it's not going to happen. Right? Which is sad, but it's the world that we live in. But you have to give Ohio State credit for that. You have got to give them credit for booking a game like this. Well, again, Georgia's just kicked the living hell out of everybody, and Michigan's played no one. That win meant a lot to me. And it also kept them in the national championship picture because, yeah, still one loss, you're out. I don't care if it was against 6th-ranked Notre Dame, which it was a good football game. It was a really good game. And I might sound pessimistic here. I think those were two of the better teams that I've seen play. Better than their 6 and 9 ranking. And I think it's hard when I can't make real sense of some of the top teams. Where I just can't look at it and go, those were two damn good football teams that played. And that was a good win for Ohio State. Now we get to the smack talk. Because if you don't know, I want to find, in essence, and I'm paraphrasing here, but Lou Holtz, former Notre Dame head coach, called Ohio State soft, right? Am I wrong in saying that, Ryan? That is pretty much what he said. He called Ohio State soft. That's a shot at Ryan Day. Because if your team is soft, that tells you that your head coach is soft. You see what Dan Lanning was doing? Man, was he pouring some gas on that fire against Colorado over the weekend? They're playing for clicks. We're playing for wins.
That was hard.
That was Oregon, Colorado. Oh, won that on Tipico too, by the way. Thank you very much. But that was, I mean, in the world of coaches usually, and college is different because they talk a little more. That is it's about as disrespectful as you could get. They're playing for clicks. We're playing for wins. And then you smack them the way that Oregon did. Holy cow. And Dan Lanning told the TV crew, yeah, come on. He knew what he was doing. Yeah, come on in. Come on in. You're going to want to catch this on tape. So he just detonated nuclear Colorado. Then Lou Holtz comes out and he calls Ohio State soft. I stopped for a second. What else is he going to do? He's a Notre Dame alum in a way. He's a Notre Dame coach. What do you expect? So then, and I think Ryan Day might have heard what Dan Lanning had to say. He says, give me my moment after this game. Here's Ryan Day following the Ohio State win.
What he said about our team, I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world. But I'll tell you what, I love those kids, and we got a tough team.
I was waiting for a little Ric Flair, like, woo, because he goes, let me tell you. I've never seen Ryan Day that pissed. I mean, he was not happy. And yeah, that is one of the more disrespectful things you can say in sports. They're soft. They're weak. And you know that's a reflection on Ryan Day. And that's something that in this kind of era that we're in, you need a little spice to it. You need a little spice. Could you ever see Jim Tressel saying something like that? I don't even think I could ever see Urban Meyer saying something like that. And yeah, Ryan Day's got a lot of fire under his butt right now. He won a little cachet last night with the Ohio State faithful. And I am a semi-Ryan Day defender. I think he's good at what he does. Yeah, he's got to beat Michigan. Yeah, but that was a damn good. And he wanted to put it on wax, too. And he wanted to put that out there for people to remember. Because it wasn't just, like, let me put it this way. The win was a nice win, but it was not some sexy big win. That is something to get over, to use another wrestling term. He got over yesterday on that, or on Saturday, by not only getting the win, but yeah, I'm going to go out here and make some headlines. I'm going to go out there and we're going to rub this in a little bit. And that's the thing. It's unfortunate because you're just going to kind of throw some more dirt on that grave. Did Dan Lanning really need to do what he did against Colorado? No, but he did it anyway. And make no mistake, that was directed at the College Football Playoff Committee. Same thing with Dan Lanning. Wins are nice. Do you know what they want in the college football playoff? Teams that are talked about. TCU making it last year, and let alone making it to the national championship, that was college football's nightmare. Nightmare. And I would assume that they don't ever want that to happen again. Going to 12 teams, throw the rule book out, right? Because there's going to be some weird teams that make it. That's fine. And this is the last year of it. But they want teams that people talk about. Yeah, you're always going to talk about Ohio State and Georgia and Michigan. And I get it. But when they come down to making some of these potentially razor-thin decisions, Ohio State talked about. Maybe even more. And granted, because we're in Ohio, it's hard. Like, that was the story. While Oregon was the story for the middle of the day, when Ohio State did that, and then when Ryan Day said what he said, all right, we're just going to go and grab this pub right now. We're just going to go ahead and take that, and this is now Ohio State's. And now they go into a bye week, kind of relax and get things ready. Still got to run the table. You ain't making it if you got a loss. That's just how we know it goes. But they did everything that they needed to put themselves right back in the college football playoff. Kyle McCord, he looked like a guy starting his, a first big game, which he was. But damn, that last drive, man. He showed up. Good game management at the end there by Ohio State. They got the stop that they needed to. Notre Dame, again, I thought Sam Hartman was fine. Estime was the story there. The fact that they only kept him to 70 yards, good, and kept him out of the end zone. Because the run game is what I was worried about. Sam Hartman, okay, again, not overly impressive there. Kyle McCord, that last drive, that catch by Emeka Egbuka. I'm down. Again, the touchdown was great, but to set that up the way they did, well done for the Buckeyes. Enjoy the bye week. I assume, too, now you're in a nice place. Maybe watch somebody kind of fall down. We'll see where the poll comes out a little bit later today. All right, you want to catch a break, Ryan? We come back?
Let's do it.
All right, let's catch a break. When we come back, I want to dive back into some Browns. You want to push back around the league? Let's do that. Let's push around the league. I do want to do it. We'll get to it a little bit later because I do have some Brown sound that I want to get to. And there was something that Myles Garrett said after the game about Jim Schwartz that it just really caught my ear. Really caught my ear. So we'll hear that. We'll hear from Deshaun Watson. Our tweet is still up at Matt Fontana Show. How are you feeling about Deshaun Watson after that game yesterday? Are you feeling a lot better, a little better, kind of indifferent, or you somehow feel worse? More in the Twitter inbox. You're going to want to hear what Myles Garrett had to say about Jim Schwartz because I think that was a really, really interesting thing. Get signed up with Tipico, folks. If you're not on Tipico yet, get signed up right now. We had a great tailgate. Shout out to everybody that came to Burke yesterday. We were handing out free bucks to Tipico. And if you haven't signed up yet, go to Tipico Sportsbook, download the app. I love the interface. It's super easy to do. And you know me and the boosts, baby. I got one yesterday. Steelers money line and TJ Watt sack. One of those was a guarantee. Got the TJ Watt sack, and I got the Steelers to win there. What did I get on that? Stand by. Tipico, use the code BIGPLAY150 when you get signed up. Get $150 in bet credits plus a $30 dog pound futures bet, which is always great. Get lined in for tonight. We'll have our Monday night picks tonight. Eagles, Bucks, and Bengals, Rams. So the boost on Steelers money line and TJ Watt to record a sack plus 275. Cash that out for a nice little $10 to $37 right there. So I was pretty happy with that. I love the boost. They're super great. You can get your traditional spreads, traditional money line. You got 5 tonight for the Eagles against the Bucks. Maybe free money. You got the line is shifted again for the Bengals. They're only 2-point favorites, so now we all wait for Joe Burrow. I got a guaranteed play for that, though, by the way, coming up with Tipico. Get signed up today. Big Play 150 is your code for Tipico. Gambling problem, call 1-800. All terms and conditions apply. Check it out at Tipico. Catch a break. You're going to want to hear what Myles Garrett had to say after the game in regards to Jim Schwartz. Comes your way next. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Streaming on Twitter. We're up on YouTube. Follow the show at Matt Fontana Show. And as always, we're starting to really take off there on the iHeart app. So all you got to do is download the iHeart app, search Big Play. We're right there, streaming every morning from 9 to 11. And then a replay of our show a little bit later in the evening. And 24/7. You'll get Chico's show there, get the Reflog show, Josh and Maria's show, B. Carp and Schlegel. It's all there. Big Play on the iHeart app. Check it out there. We'll get to Myles Garrett. We'll hear from Deshaun Watson. We'll do it all next. This is Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Double Victory Monday right here on the Fontana Show on Big Play. Ohio State getting it done. Browns getting it done. The only thing that could be a little sweeter is watch the Bengals fall to 0-3 tonight. We'll get to our play coming up with Tipico. Welcome back. Matt Fontana. He's Ryan Tyler. Big Play. iHeart. Check us out. Live radio every single morning. We're on 9 to 11. Chico's 12 to 2 on the iHeart app. And then all of our shows stream throughout the day. And then don't forget our shows on Great Lakes and Valleys, too. We're up there with The Return with Josh and Maria Cribbs, the Bobby Carpenter with Anthony Schlegel. Great to hear what those guys had to say. Drennan now here at Big Play. Maybe some more coming down the pipe. You never know.
Yeah, that's been an interesting venture.
I can only imagine. Ryan's on that show. And I've done plenty of shows with Bruce in my career. And there was a time where I was like, you might see me appear on the Drennan. What are they calling it too, by the way?
It's called Bonus Time with Bruce
Bonus Time with Bruce Drennan. I love it. You can catch that every Wednesday right here on the Big Play Network. We're all over, folks. Drop us a follow at Big Play. And, of course, our show is at Matt Fontana Show. Great win for the Browns yesterday. They just dominated the Titans 27-3. Jim Schwartz has got to be the proudest papa walking the earth right now. Like, he has just got to be grinning from ear to ear, watching his defense do things that have not been done in this town in years. So I did a quick little stat research yesterday in the middle of trying to hold my daughter. I'm on my phone, and I'm sitting there, and she's sleeping, and I'm trying to scroll through it. So the Browns' defense has given up 18 points in 3 games. You take out the 2 defensive touchdowns that the Steelers had. In my quick research, Ryan, going back to 99, that is the best 3-game start for any Browns defense. The closest was 2001. They gave up 23 points, so 5 more points. And the same thing, ironically, in those 3 games, there were 2 defensive touchdowns for the opponent, too. So the point total is more, but you're counting just what the defense gave up. And they also started 2-1, but that 0-1 team was not the playoff team in 2002. They finished, I think, 9-7, missed the playoffs. Anyway, this defense, as great as it is, it's hard to not sit here and go, what happened, right? You could easily say it's Dalvin Tomlinson and Zadarius Smith and Obo Okoronkwo and Juan Thornhill. Yeah. And there's new players here. But make no mistake that this reeks of Jim Schwartz being the key that started this engine, this whole thing. And I'm not here to throw shade at Joe Woods or anything like that. But here's Myles Garrett after the game yesterday. He was asked about Jim Schwartz. Here's what Myles had to say, sound courtesy of the Browns.
I mean, we got a lot of guys with a lot of swagger. I mean, you've seen it, like the way Obo and Zeke walked in here. All those DBs, those guys, they feel that, they embody that. So someone who is going to nurture that and bring that out of them, you couldn't ask for a better match. And he's really helped bring the most out of these guys, and he's going to continue to.
I'm just going to rip that up for what it is. It sounded like that was not then happening, right? I mean, but again, he mentioned Obo Okoronkwo and Zadarius Smith, who are new to this system. But to hear Myles say that, and I tweeted this out at Matt Fontana 3, it really caught my ear for a second. It really caught my ear. And he says he nurtures the guys, that they have the swagger, he helps bring it out, but you couldn't ask for a better match. Well, clearly, seeing what this defense is doing, and yeah, I'm sure it's a little scheme and it's a little bit of the play calls, but it's also putting guys in the right position. And again, with how complex this defense was or wasn't, if they simplify, I don't really care what it is, because the fact that they are playing to this level, it's Jim Schwartz. Like, what a hire. Great job. People are trying to sit there and say that he's here to take Kevin Stefanski's job. Thankfully, that's calmed down a little bit with a win for Kevin Stefanski, who deserves some credit for yesterday's game. I thought he called a good game. Could use a few less reverses, okay? I just got a little happy on the reverses there. Okay, fine. You got to win. It doesn't matter. But, Jim Schwartz looks like one of the best hires that I've ever seen for the Browns. And we've had things of, we thought that this guy was going to be it, or, even head coaching or DC, whatever, man. Jim Schwartz. Well done. Well done for the Browns.
Jim Schwartz's defense has given up 18 points in 3 games. Meanwhile, Joe Woods' Saints defense gave up 18 points in the fourth quarter to blow a 17-0 lead.
To blow that. We'll get to around the league coming up. We'll do that about 10:30, I think, this morning. But, I mean, it's crazy. Here's a stat from the Browns. Shout out to Dan Murphy on Browns PR. The fewest yards allowed in the first 3 games since 1970, the Browns' third least. They've only given up 491 yards in 3 games. That is the third best in the NFL since, I believe, the merger, right? 1970. The Buccaneers, pretty good defense in 1999. They gave up 430. The Lions in 1970 gave up 431. So you want to look at it this way. 24 years. It's the best defense that we've seen in the NFL in 24 years as far as yardage allowed through 3 games. Give Jim Schwartz his flowers today. Give Myles Garrett his flowers, all that kind of stuff. And, okay, be critical for a second. Did they play the juggernauts of the world? Yeah, okay, maybe the weather had a little to do with the Bengals. Maybe the Steelers' offense, not quite what you thought it was. They had a better game last night. Just got that Raiders defense. I put some good credits there on Tipico on the Steelers to get that win, because when I looked at that Raiders defense, especially without Chandler Jones, which is a whole weird situation, by the way, but like, come on now. I knew they'd get right. And yeah, the Titans offense is not what you expected. I don't care. When you start putting up stats and levels that haven't been done in 24 odd some years, I don't care who they're playing. And they're playing to a level that the Browns offense maybe has a little bit of pressure off them. Maybe just a little bit. Well, one of the guys talked about pressure was Deshaun Watson. So as he's dealt with this, 3 games into this season, you had the 6 games last year. After the game, Deshaun Watson was asked about dealing with some of that pressure. Here's what he had to say, sound courtesy of the Browns.
Sorry, which one was that, Matt?
Sorry, the pressure one. Watson dealing with the pressure of the fans.
Like I said before, it comes with the territory. But, too much is given, much is required. And I've always lived by that, on and off the field. And being able to come out here, I knew the fans were going to come and support us. That's what the Cleveland Browns was. All the stuff that's online and all outside noise, that stuff is minimal compared to what is really the foundation of this organization, for this city, for this town, and especially for this team.
You can say that, and he's saying that, but you got to live that too. You got to understand, and I think he does, that it's going to be that way. But when he made a comment there about, again, the pressure, and it comes with the territory, that is the biggest thing that I hope he gets. And he said, much is given, much is required. That is all I've ever been saying about Deshaun Watson. And we might need to save this clip, Ryan, for some people. Because when I am going to be critical of Deshaun Watson, which I'm here to tell you I'm going to be, and it's probably not the last time that I'm going to sit there after a game wondering about some things. It all comes from that exact thing. He is a good quarterback. I know he's a good quarterback because I've seen him play good quarterback before. I'm going to hold him to a higher standard, and he himself there said it, that he will do the same. That's it. And I don't understand why some people get so pissed off about that. Where, again, it's a win, and he played better. Didn't play perfect. We all saw the play. We all know. I'm not going to sit here and lament on that. I'm not. But I'm also going to say, now we got to clean some things up and get ready for Baltimore and go win against Baltimore. If the Browns are going to go where they need to go, as great as the defense is playing, as great as Amar, you have to have Deshaun Watson be one of your best players. The NFL is set up that way. You will go nowhere if your quarterback is a bottom third quarterback. That's what Deshaun Watson was. He didn't play to that level yesterday. He played to a better level. But you got to keep going. This is not going to, really, Ryan, this is going to, fill me up. I'm going to be fulfilled on how Deshaun Watson played until probably tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. And then we're on to Baltimore. And that's how the NFL goes. Because I have grander ideas. I have grand things that I want the Browns to go do this year. And I'm sorry to Deshaun Watson, who just admitted after that game yesterday that he understands that it is still going to fall on him. And that goes back to a question that maybe we'll do on tomorrow's show. Is the defense playing well, taking pressure off of Watson or putting pressure on Watson? Because if they are going to play this well, you have no excuses. your margin for error is maybe the widest that it's ever been for Deshaun Watson in his career on a team that actually has expectations. Okay, he played on some bad Houston teams. This is a good team that wants to go places. And you are doing what you need to do in the NFL of widening that margin of error for your quarterback. How do you lessen that? I've seen it. You give him a bad offensive line with no playmakers and a bad offensive coordinator with a defense that's got Swiss cheese. Holes on defense left and right. That is how you lessen your margin for error for the Browns. We take a quick stock of the Cleveland Browns. Good wide receivers. Running back position, we know that sucks. Good offensive line. I still think a good play caller. I thought Kevin Stefanski had a good game yesterday. And a defense that is just outstanding. All of that is widening that margin for Deshaun Watson. But there's then pressure for him to meet them in the middle. Here they are, pushing. And Deshaun Watson's just got to meet him in the middle. That's all I need. So instead of him needing to play to a top 6, top 5 quarterback, we can get by with a top 12 quarterback. You can win a Super Bowl with a top 12 quarterback. You need some other things to go on, but you can do it. It is the trap of the NFL to sit there and say, well, you got to have Jalen Hurts. You got to have Patrick Mahomes. You got to have Justin Herbert. You got to have this, got to have that. You don't really have to do it. But Ryan Tannehill's not winning a Super Bowl, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo's not winning a Super Bowl. Good Lord, what? Some of those throws yesterday. I know he's trying to throw the football away. How bad is it when a quarterback is inaccurate on trying to throw the football away? What does that tell you when you can't even throw the football away properly without getting intercepted? Those are all things. You just know that list, right? And then you got your mid-tier guys. And I think, frankly, that's where Deshaun Watson is. Have I been critical of the contract because he is paid as a top-tier guy? Sure. And eventually that contract will work itself out. And it's crazy to say that we had a conversation on this show just last week about how we get out of the Deshaun Watson contract, right? Here's the thing. That conversation might arise again. It's not for today, though. And it's not for this week because you won. But I'm also just going to understand for as long as I'm watching this team and as long as you watch football, it's good for today and tomorrow. Come Wednesday, we're on to the Ravens. And there's a massive game Sunday. And we'll get there. We will. We should really sit here and enjoy this because we know Victory Mondays are great. Everything is better. Coffee just tastes a little bit better this morning. Yeah. Damn, that's some good coffee. We get the cold brew. Are you a coffee drinker, Ryan?
I love coffee.
Are you
black coffee?
You're more of a man than I am then. I cannot drink coffee. I will do black coffee from time to time. I have to have the flavored creamer in there. And it's my favorite time of the year because it's fall. Sorry. A little basic on that. I don't tell you. Pumpkin, that's what's in my ice. Now, here's the question. You can only have iced or hot coffee the rest of your life. What would you rather have?
That's not even close, Matt. Hot.
Really?
Yeah. I need it when I wake up in the morning.
There are some chilly mornings, and we're getting there. And I love the fall. Fall is my favorite time of the year. So, yeah, you wake up and there's that little crisp in the air. And, yeah, you got to have that hot coffee. But I cannot drink hot coffee in the summer. Like,
okay.
So of the 12-month year, I would say that I'm iced coffee 7 to 8 months out of the year with a good 3 to 4 month stretch in there. Like usually I'll give you a November, December, January, and February. Maybe a little October and maybe a little March. So if I had to pick one, I'm going iced coffee actually. Forever. But both are equally delicious. Everything tastes a little bit better. Everything is better on a Victory Monday. But also understanding that there's some things that need to be cleaned up and fixed, with this offense kind of moving forward. Here's more about Deshaun Watson. Speaking of things that changed and things that got a little bit better. So, not the best game against the Steelers. Things got better. Deshaun Watson after the game, sound courtesy of the Browns. What changed on this offense, Deshaun?
It's responding, just being able to take what the defense give us. Don't try to do too much. And, last week was, starting off, we didn't start off well. So, of course, trying to press on and get that seven points back early on was, not what we wanted to do. But we came in this week and we just Took it one play at a time.
A lot of not pressing. It all just seems to come back to pressure, does it not? And he mentioned it again. The pick six, they seem to be chasing points the whole time, taking what the defense is giving him instead of forcing to make plays. The positive is that is fixable. Pressure is a fixable thing. How easy, I don't know. But if you had a crappy offense and you were trotting out Corey Coleman, that's not easily fixable. If you were void of talent, that is not easily fixable. Pressure, I would like to believe, Ryan, is fixable. And it's fixable with what?
That was
wins.
that was such a wild stray at Corey Coleman.
I'm trying to think of bad wide receivers that we've had here. The list is long and unimpressive. Isaiah Crowell. That's a mean to the Crow. I just, literally think about, we are walking out NFL talent. And there were times that we were not doing that, of walking out NFL talent onto the field as your starting offensive unit.
Yeah, Amari's head and shoulders above the best wide receiver I've seen in my lifetime. On the
He's
Browns,
very good. Very good. Very good. I don't like doing this, but it's the truth that Donovan Peoples-Jones not off to a good start. That's good for the Browns. I thought he might be in line to go get some big money after this season. Off to a slow start. It's a conspiracy theory out the rear end. But it would not be the first time that a team in a contract year of a player that they want to keep, all of a sudden he's fallen down the past target list there. That's me. That's all me. That's unfair to do. And I hope DPJ gets more involved. It'd be nice if he did, and just in time, right? Kind of helps out the Browns, though. Kind of does, just from a pure critical, cynic type route. But for Watson to say that he's just taking what's given, the pressure is going to start coming off. But the ebbs and flows know that the pressure is down right now. It could go up, and it's going to go down. And it's just kind of dealing with it. What we really need to get to, and what Deshaun Watson needs to get to, and it's something that Kevin Stefanski had but lost, is a little cachet. You need a little built up where the minor stuff, the fans don't freak out about, that we don't freak out about it. Because you want the ultimate goal of having confidence. Because that helps you lead to a culture in a franchise, and not a dynasty, but you want to build that team where the Chiefs will have a bad game. You know what they don't care about? A bad game, because they have confidence, because they built it up, because they have cachet. They're the gold standard. It was the Patriots. It's now the Chiefs. Miami's on their way. You want to build that. And that's what I think the Browns more than anything right now need, is just a little stretch here to just build a little bit of it. Again, it doesn't mean that we're not going to be critical. It doesn't mean that there are going to be things that we don't wish we had back, or you sit there and say it's all roses and rainbows and everything is great. It's not always going to be that way, but I just need a little bit that I can't be freaking out every week. We know that roller coaster. I hate being on it. I love roller coasters. But it's just up and down and up and down. Just build a little bit where I can feel good and just show me a little bit, like what I think Deshaun Watson did yesterday. Show me a little bit. Prove to me you're there. And I can just feel good about it. And I do. I don't mean to understate it, Ryan. I feel really good after that win. Where Amari Cooper getting screwed by the refs doesn't really matter so much. Yeah, Jed Wills this. Okay, the bad fumble back from Watson. Okay, you're trying to get Elijah Moore. I do. I feel damn good today. I really do. And that's unfortunately kind of how a lot of us operate as Browns fans, that our week, or at least the start of our week, is really kind of dependent on how the Browns go, right?
Yeah, so courtesy of ESPN FPI, Browns are right now sitting at a 70% playoff chance and a 35% chance to win the AFC North, behind number one Ravens, who have a 40.9% chance.
It's the Bengals percentage, their chance there, right?
8.3.
Woo! And that's before they even play tonight. Only 4 teams have made the playoffs after starting 0-3. Now, that was in a 16-game schedule, and you have one more wild card team now. I get it. But Burrow playing tonight? I don't think so either. We'll get to our picks coming up. I got it. You know what I mean? I don't want to say guarantees because I don't want to do that for tonight. But I feel very good about a bet I'm going to place on Tipico for tonight for Monday Night Football. Doubleheader, though. Doubleheader action. Maybe a little bit of parlay going on there. We'll see what happens. Final thing here, Kevin Stefanski after the game. So we've heard from Watson where he said some things changed, kind of took what he was given. Seems like the pressure's off a little bit. Kevin Stefanski after the game, what'd you think of Watson?
He wants to win. He wants to be a great team player. He'll do whatever it takes to win. We knew that this was going to be a game where we felt confident and get spreading the ball around to different guys. I thought he took completions, obviously took the shots when they were there, made plays with his feet. So I thought he was outstanding today.
Spreading the football around. And that is kind of base level, but it's also a way to, calm the quarterback down. Take what's given. And it would be easy for Watson, another positive to take out of yesterday, it would have been easy for Deshaun Watson to go into that game saying, dude, this is the first game without Nick Chubb. We're going to have to pick up some slack here, and I'm going to have to do everything myself because we can't run the football. That would have been easy for Deshaun Watson to do that yesterday, and he just didn't. So give him credit for that. And then Stefanski on the play calling. What did he do? He started out with just don't even think it's a bootleg and throw tech. Now, granted, he tripped. And I started the show by saying I think it's actually a positive that Watson had kind of the wherewithal, but also that he wasn't pressured and pressing. He got up and he completed the pass. He didn't get up and start freaking out. So I think the pocket presence is coming back. But start out with some easy completions. It's like basketball. Sometimes you just need to see the ball go through the hoop. It's a free throw, or if it's the easiest bunny layup you've ever had. And that's what they started with. Some easy one. Roll out and throw it to this guy. This guy will be open. Roll out and throw it. Accuracy was a little bit better yesterday. And I did think it was interesting when Stefanski's, I wanted to play that, Ryan, about how he talked about spreading the football around. 8 targets for Amari Cooper, 7 receptions. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 4 targets, 9 targets for Elijah Moore. He caught all 9 of those. Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, each 3. David Njoku with 4. Only 4 for 20. So if you talk about 31 completions, he had 6 different receivers. That's spreading the football around. And frankly, those are all the guys I would want to get touches. Maybe Cedric Tillman here and there. Sorry to David Bell. I think his snaps are going to start getting cut a little bit. And it was about spread out as you could. The dink and dunk, you still average 10 yards per completion, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Well, actually, Watson was 8.8. The receivers averaged 10, though. 16 each for Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. 7 for $116 there for Amari. And I think that's going to your number one receiver first is what you got to do, clearly. But I think getting the ball to some of the other guys, those are just like pressure releases. Those are just like safety valves just to kind of get the pressure off a little bit. And I think it worked out well for Watson. All right, when we come back, we'll do around the league. We have a lot to get to. We'll run through each and every game. Some big shockers yesterday. Baltimore going down. Oh, Denver. Holy cow. Woo, that was bad. Bad. But couple games that didn't go our way at Tipico, a couple games that did. We'll go around the league. We'll do it next. Stay with us. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Don't forget Chico coming up 12 to 2 each and every day following us here. Get us on the iHeart app. Search Big Play. We're right there. But we're also Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube with on-demand shows on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And check us out on BigPlay.com. Big Play Network, where you want it, how you want it, and when you want it. A new way of enjoying your entertainment. Around the league comes your way next. All right, back here on the Matt Fontana Show on Mondays, as we always do. Time to recap the weekend, including our. I didn't add our scores up, right? Now let's make our picks for tonight on the doubleheader Monday, and we'll have our scores. But I thought we could do all right this weekend. Let's go around the league. Some good, some really bad. It's time to go around the league right here on the Fontana Show. Take it away.
Alrighty, well, the Colts outlasted the Baltimore Ravens in an overtime battle yesterday. How about this? Justin Tucker missed a potential 61-yard game-winning field goal, and on the other side, Colts kicker Matt Gay, 5 field goals, 4 over 50 yards. Colts win 22-19.
I mean, the thing about the Ravens game is they had a lot of guys sitting out. And I don't know if it's because they wanted them to be healthy for the Browns game, if they thought that they could just waltz in and beat Gardner Minshew and the Colts, because frankly, they should have been able to waltz in and beat Gardner Minshew and the Colts. But I don't know how the hell that happened. As much as we talked about what this offense was going to look like for the Ravens, because I was a little afraid that with Todd Monken, they'd actually get it figured out. No, Ryan, it's still pretty much all Lamar Jackson. He had to run for 2 touchdowns on 100 yards rushing. He threw for 200 yards. That looks like the Ravens offense that got them in a lot of trouble and got Lamar hurt a lot. So the loss of J.K. Dobbins, maybe? I don't know. I don't understand. And the thing is, when Baltimore jumped out to that 7-0 lead, like, we think, oh, okay, here comes, a little bit of a butt whooping. And then they just didn't show the hell up the rest of the game, pretty much. And again, I think it's too much of they just put it all on Lamar. It goes back to, would you rather have them won and then they're feeling fat and happy coming here, or they lost, I'm sure they're good and ticked off, and they, all the focus would be on the Browns, not that it was going to be. I read into a lot of the guys that they set out in that game. Odell didn't play. There's more than that. Hang on. Ravens inactives from yesterday. Odell, Marlon Humphrey, Tyler Linderbaum, Ronnie Stanley, Odafe Owe, and Marcus Williams. Wow. Those are all starters. And Justice Hill kind of spells Gus Edwards a little bit. About 6 starters that they were missing in that game. Again, I think some of those I heard was a severity of, like, if it was a playoff game they would have played. I think they were probably gearing up for the Browns, but nipped them in the butt. Good for them. Go Colts, I guess.
Well, the Dolphins put up a whopping 70 points against the Denver Broncos, beating them 70-20. How about this? 10 total touchdowns in that game for the Dolphins. Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert both had 4 touchdowns each.
Like, if you had Achane, I don't know if you had in your fantasy lineup. A lot of people did have Raheem Mostert. Thanks for that. I had to face him in one of my fantasy leagues. Like, just whatever. Does Vance Joseph have a job today? The defensive coordinator for the Broncos? How does that happen? And then Mike McDaniel doing the right thing at the end. He goes, we took a knee. We could have kicked a field goal to set an NFL record for most points in a game, but taking the knee was the right thing. He is right on for that, too, because karma is, you know what. But, yeah. I think the Broncos just might have a stink on them that is unwashable right now. And I think the stink is Russell Wilson. Like, they have good players. I know they do. And I think Russell Wilson should be good, but it's just, I don't know, man. Like, if I'm the Waltons and I wake up this morning and that's a lot of money that you didn't pay, it was somebody I get, but I'm seriously sitting there to say, like, we need to maybe move on from you've made your bed with Sean Payton, even more so than Russell Wilson right now. And I really don't think the Broncos will ever be good with Russell Wilson being. There's just a stink. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about the Broncos. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse from there. Absolutely horrendous. On the other side of it, you see why Miami. There are 2 teams that I see right now being on a vengeance tour and playing with a blank you mindset, and that is the Dolphins and the 49ers. Tyreek Hill is borderline unstoppable. They did that without Jalen Waddle, by the way, who was out. It tells you, too, about not paying running backs because they're doing that with Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane. Really impressive. Mike McDaniel on his way to Coach of the Year. If you had to vote for it right now, it's between Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. Tua rebounding, getting himself some big cash coming up. Dolphins are a force to be reckoned with, and the Broncos have no force at all.
Great stat here from Field Yates per Next Gen Stats. The 6 fastest ball carriers in a game this season, I'll go through them real quick. Number 1, Tyreek Hill.
Sure.
Number 2, Devon Achane.
Okay.
Number 3, Tyreek Hill again. Number 4, Raheem Mostert. Number 5, Tyreek Hill again. And number 6, Devon Achane again.
Yeah. Can't
all
teach
over
speed, man.
speeds of 21.5.
Were they all in
Hill.
that game? No, they were probably spread out a little bit, right? But
So the top 2 performances for Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane, those were both week 3.
okay, so yesterday. Impressive. Denver sucks. Fade them the rest of the year, by the way. Put that down for our picks. I would fade them every single game.
Okay. Well, the Patriots outdueled the New York Jets to bring both of their team records to 1-2.
Should not have been.
What's
that
going
close.
on over there in New England?
Well, I mean, they unlike, Bill Belichick led teams before, I think they play down to their opponent a little bit. But you also got to understand that, the Patriots aren't very good. See Farrell Brown, though? Good for him. Former Cleveland Brown, Brush High School, go Arcs. Good for him. 75-yard touchdown. Or whatever, 58-yard touchdown, whatever it was. The Patriots are very good. Like, they really aren't. And talk about lack of playmakers. Yeah, I like Ramondre Stevenson. Like, Zeke Elliott was their leading carry on that. They should have kicked the crap out of the Jets worse than they are. There's a legit discussion about they needed to get rid of Zach Wilson. Because I think it might have been, again, the aforementioned Field Yates. Somebody brought this up. Maybe Jeremy, I can't remember. But anyway, they said the Jets are still a built team, right? Like, they could still go do something. Get rid of Zach Wilson.
Kirk Cousins.
Well, they could go trade for Kirk Cousins. We'll get to the Vikings in a second. But what, is he in free agent after this year?
He is.
Oh, okay. Then.
He's on his last year.
All right. Because, bro, that list of free agent quarterbacks, wow. Like Brett Hundley. Somebody sent a list out with Brett Hundley. Yeah, Carson Wentz and, of course, Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco and all these other guys. But, I mean, I don't think the Jets are savable. Like, you want to ride it out with Zach Wilson, okay, fine. Their season went down the tubes when Aaron Rodgers went down. That's it. It's not the craziest thing in the world. And also, don't think that this doesn't enter GM's minds, because it does. It shouldn't, but it does. Are you going to do all that, burn up some cash, burn up draft picks, just to still get throttled by Miami or Buffalo come playoff time, or even when he comes down the stretch? And the adage on that is, if you don't make the moves, all you're doing is saving picks and money for the next general manager. And that's not your problem anyway. You're going to get fired. The excuse is built in. Dude, we lost Aaron Rodgers. We gave him all this for Aaron Rodgers, put all these eggs in his basket, and it didn't work out. So I don't think it's as simple as the Jets going to just to find another quarterback to replace Zach Wilson, because I still don't know where they're going to go. Real dumpster fire there. And I if I'm them, you just play out the string. It might cost Robert Saleh his job, but I don't think it's quite as easy as just saying to go find a quarterback. Because really, is Matt Ryan that much better than Zach Wilson? Is Carson Wentz going to be that much better? I don't know the answer to those questions. I really don't.
Alrighty, well, the Bills pummeled the Washington Commanders 37-3. Bills defense shined with 5 turnovers, including a pick 6 in this one. Sam Howell, very rough day. Just 170 yards, 4 interceptions.
They were a feel-good story starting at 2-1, but you kind of figured, that Sam Howell would show up. I'm a detractor of the Bills. Nice win. Good job. It was the Commanders. You were supposed to do that. Now let's see where they go from here. Much like we talk about getting Deshaun Watson right, I think Josh Allen needs to start getting right a little bit. He only had 218, a touchdown and a pick, but and ran for a touchdown too in that game, but that's fine. Okay, nice win. You beat the Commanders. Kind of move on. I think the Commanders probably showed you really who they are.
The Detroit Tigers. Look at me. The Detroit Lions improved to 2-1 on the year, beating Atlanta 20-6. The Falcons just could not get anything mustered up on offense. Jared Goff goes for 243 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Jahmyr Gibbs leads the way with 17 carries, 80 yards.
Again, Bijan Robinson kind of got figured out. Arthur Smith was going to try to run the football the live long day and just really didn't work out well for them. What was it 33-12, I think, for Robinson and Tyler Algier in that game? Falcons, I don't think are very good. I'm still skeptical of Lions. But again, much like the Bills, you kind of won the game how I expected you to, and you moved on. That was one of my locks of the weekend there was the Lions.
Alrighty, Green Bay comeback win from behind. Down 17-0, score 18 straight unanswered points.
Is Jordan Love good?
Jordan Love, 259 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And we do know that Derek Carr went out of the game early due to a shoulder injury, waiting on news from that.
Yeah.
However, Joe Woods, let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah. You give it up 18 fourth quarter points. That was a fun game to watch. Just to see, like, you think, but you see what Jordan Love can do late in the game. And again, they still did it without Aaron Jones, who didn't play in that game. It's the chicken or the egg. Did the Packers win it, or did the Saints cough it up? I'd like to give credit to the Packers in this one, so I guess I will. Seemed like a choke job. I think the Saints are not great. I still think they're going to win that division, though, just because it's so bad. But I think the real question here is the Packers. Are they good enough to sneak around and get a wild card, or dare I say, out of nowhere, win the NFC North? I thought the Vikings were going to win that division. I really did. We knew the Bears weren't going to, and I had questions about the Lions. But all of a sudden, here are the Packers just kind of milling around, hanging around. The interesting one is David Bakhtiari. Didn't play in that game, and it sounds like he's only going to play like every so often. Weird. I think the Packers are an intriguing team. Jordan Love. Maybe they really got something there with him. Fun game to watch. Good for the Packers.
Pretty big upset in Jacksonville as the Texans go into their stadium.
I'm sorry.
37.
I'm getting a phone call. Oh, it's fraud.
30.
Frauds that are costing me money. Ryan,
They cost me money too yesterday.
frauds.
Yep. Put them in a parlay and it backfired.
Frauds. You know what I get? That's what I get for listening to everybody out there. I almost took a shot at a very popular, prominent media member. What the hell? When Mike Greenberg's out there going, Trevor Lawrence going to win the MVP, I should have walked away and said, nope, that's it. Fade the Jags. I was high on them too. I thought Doug Peterson, you got Calvin Ridley. Lawrence didn't even have 100 yards passing in the first half. Frauds. You frauds. I'm calling a lawyer. I'm filing a lawsuit. I'm a victim of fraud. I want my money back. I want my $15 back. Good God, are they bad?
I also lost money on that.
Holy God. What in the hell? What is that?
CJ Stroud, through his first 3 career games, is 906 passing yards, and he's just the 3rd player in NFL history to do that. The others are Cam Newton, who had 1,012 passing yards in his first 3 games in 2011, and Justin Herbert, who had 931 in 2020.
Jacksonville's smelling themselves. That's exactly what happened. They are 0-2 at home, and their 1 loss is against the hapless Colts. Well, and the Chiefs game was a low score. The Chiefs game, I'm like, okay, maybe, you kind of kept it semi-close to the Chiefs. Okay, fine. Frauds for Jacksonville. Don't worry, they'll get right this week against the Falcons. Remember that pick, because I'm still going to take them over the Falcons. Good, dude, smelling themselves, I guess. Like, I don't know what else it could be. They'll still win the AFC South because the rest of those teams suck, but concerning for Jacksonville.
Well, the Chargers avoided 0-3 start. However, the Minnesota Vikings cannot do the same. However, some bad news there in Los Angeles. It appears as though Mike Williams will be out for the season due to a new injury.
Yeah, that hit. I mean, they're going to have to. Quentin Johnston's a guy out of TCU that I was pretty high on when they drafted him, so I'll have to turn over there. Keenan Allen is so underrated. He is so good throwing a touchdown. There's going to be heat on Brandon Staley all the time, all that kind of stuff. But they're dealing with injuries on that defense. Like, Bosa was questionable going into that game. I'd like to see a little more out of the Chargers. Solid win, you'll take it. 405 and 3 touchdowns for Herbert. The Vikings, though, they seem to be a hapless ship right now. Like, they seem to, even with Kirk Cousins throwing 3 touchdowns, like, that might cost Kevin O'Connell his job up there. They trade for Cam Akers. Running game wasn't the problem. Alexander Madison at 93 yards on the ground. I think the hard part is, and you see, and we'll get to this game too, Adam Thielen lit it up. And I think with this offense, okay, Justin Jefferson's a superstar, and he played to a superstar level again yesterday. Hawkinson, that fumble that they took, okay. But do you really have that other threat? And I think maybe that's what's happened with the Vikings. I think they're borderline frauds too. I thought they were going to win that division. It ain't happening now at 0-3, but we'll see.
Alrighty, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Carolina Panthers 37-27. Geno Smith, 296 yards, a pick and a touchdown. Kenneth Walker, very nice day, 97 yards and 2 scores.
There was a case to be made that the Seahawks ended up covering, but that the Panthers would actually look a little better with Andy Dalton in there. And that's not a shot at Bryce Young, but just a veteran guy. And you saw Dalton. I mean, he just took what he was given. 361 and a couple of scores. Thielen looked revitalized in that. It was a fun game. I actually watched that game as the afternoon slate. Kenneth Walker is very, very good. The Seahawks are a little sneaky there at 2-1, right? I don't know if they're going to win that division just because the 49ers are so good, but they're winning. Jackson Smith and Jigba's not even getting targets. They're just throwing a DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And Noah Fant, actually, a big game. And then, God, who's their backup tight end? The guy with all the hair. Because he was making catches left and right.
Bobo, I think.
No, Bobo had a touchdown. I think it was Colby Parkinson was their tight end. Yeah, Colby Parkinson. He had some big catches for him, too. Geno Smith, I didn't know how good he'd be, man, but that was a good game from him.
Well, I'm not quite sure how to explain what happened in the desert. However, the Cardinals upset Dallas 28-16. Very good on our boy Josh Dobbs.
Did you join me on that pick? That was my trap of the weekend. I took the Cards and the points.
I believe I took Dallas to cover.
Okay. Letdown game. I called it on Friday. I felt like that was a giant trap game. It happens to a lot of teams. Dallas, not necessarily good enough to be impervious to the trap. And that's what happened. You're right. Good on Josh Dobbs. The tank is still in there out in Arizona. I'm not a Dallas fan by any stretch of the imagination. I think you probably just sit back and say, yeah, we fumbled that one there. It just, it is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. But that Dallas defense, though, for what you thought they were going to be, not necessarily given the effort that you thought, but I think you chalk it up for that. Dallas, you laid an egg, you move forward, you're still 2-1. In Arizona, tank is still in.
Well, to no one's surprise, Kansas City pretty much destroyed the Chicago Bears. Another
had to
rough
get Travis
day.
Kelce his touchdown, though, didn't he, for his lady friend?
Another rough day for Justin Fields. Only 99 yards through the air, touchdown and an interception. And Patrick Mahomes and company played as advertised.
Poor guy. Things are going from bad to worse in Chicago. Eberflus will not survive, and I hope Justin Fields somehow survives. He needs to get the hell out of there. Wouldn't that be something? The Jets, they couldn't because they all of that money to Aaron Rodgers or something. But Justin Fields needs saved. He really needs saved. Maybe they sit him down. Maybe the true answer is to just sit him down and just stop the beatings, but how's he going to get better? How's he going to keep his trade value up? There's nothing going on out there in Chicago. And then the scary part of, did you see the video of DJ Moore having to pick up Justin Fields, walk him off the field too? That's scary stuff. The Chiefs are very good. They just take care of business. It was all about Taylor Swift, and he got a touchdown. Good for Travis Kelce.
Alrighty, last game was last night. Pittsburgh won in Las Vegas 23-18.
I felt really good about that.
Devontae Adams, insane day, 13 receptions, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He carried, but did all he could do. As Kenny Pickett, not a horrible day, 235 yards and 2 touchdowns.
No, and that's just because that Raiders defense blows. They are so bad. I knew this was going to be a get-right game for them. I took the Steelers on the money line last night. I had it all spread out. Steelers money line. I had a nice little Tipico boost with TJ Watt sack and Steelers money line. I did take Pickens and Najee Harris as anytime scores. That didn't hit, but we're still up there on Tipico. And we'll get you our bets coming up. Josh McDaniels, what are you doing? You need a touchdown. You have 2 opportunities, and you kick a field goal both times on 4th down? I'd have fired his ass this morning. good Lord. What in the hell is he doing? Jimmy Garoppolo, not good. Devontae Adams, very good. Josh Jacobs, better. Max Crosby, really good. Rest of the Raiders suck. That's it. Devontae Adams and Max Crosby, that's it. That is it. Other than that, dude, like, just handing it over on a plate is Josh McDaniels. Just handing it on over. They suck. They're really bad. Steelers got right. They're 2-1. That was a lock. That was a lock win last night there for the Steelers. Do I have a lock win for this evening, Mr. Ryan? We'll find out when we return. Final break. We'll update our Twitter question. We'll dive back into a little bit more Browns, and we'll get our picks for 2 Monday Night Football games with our friends at Tipico. We'll put a bow on a Victory Monday edition of the Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Great stuff on a Victory Monday here. Welcome back. Matt Fontana Show here on Big Play. Don't forget Chico coming up at noon, 12 to 2. Catch it out on iHeart, on the app, of course, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube as well. Reflog Show. I'm sure they're going to have a lot to talk about, recapping a nice big win. Had a lot of fun this morning. Want to update everybody on our Twitter question, though, before we get to our picks for Monday Night Football with our friends at Tipico. We asked everybody, do you feel better, or how do you feel about Deshaun Watson following yesterday's game? Do you feel a lot better, a little better, or somewhere in the middle, or somehow you feel worse? 55% of the vote says they feel a little better. 34% says they feel a lot better. Indifferent about 10%, and 2% saying they somehow feel worse. I think the backwards pass is probably where a lot of people look, and it's kind of okay, fine. There's some other things that do need to get cleaned up, but I think if anything, it's Deshaun Watson's got to feel good about himself this morning. You wake up, you're ready to go, feel good about where you're at. And I feel like the Browns can build on some of the things and they're going to be facing a Baltimore team. It's going to be good and ticked off coming in this weekend. Doesn't matter. Enjoy this win today. Browns did enough. And you are staring down the barrel of an historic defense. You are staring down the barrel of a defense that shows up every week and knows that they're frankly just better than the offense that they're playing against for now. I don't know if I could say that against the Chiefs or Miami, but we're not playing them. And just seeing what Baltimore did this weekend against Indianapolis in that loss, Ryan, I feel even more confident about our defense being able to do some big things because I think Baltimore's back to searching for their identity. When Lamar's got to run at 100 times or run for 100 yards, that's that offense that we know that they failed so much in and what people thought Todd Monken was going to fix. And here they are coming off a game where, you lost in overtime to a bad team and you're back to your same offensive issues again.
Matt, how about this stat real quick for you? Okay. So the league average for yards allowed before contact this season, 94.22. Can you guess how many the Browns have let?
So if you're usually allowing 94, I'm going to guess 20s.
How about negative 36?
Woo! Dude, it's a great point. What that tells you, too, they're not just stopping guys at the line of scrimmage. They are TFLs. They are tackling guys behind the line of scrimmage. When you are pushing Derrick Henry backwards, kind of tells you all you need to know when it comes to the Browns defense and what they're doing. So Monday Night Football, we got a doubleheader tonight. Let's start with Philadelphia on the road taking on Tampa Bay. Of course, Tampa, one of the shocking stories to start here at 2-0. Philly is on the road here. It's a 5-point spread. Over under a 45.5. Eagles minus 230 on the money line. Buccaneers plus 195. I'm going to take the Eagles minus the 5 in this one, Ryan. I think Tampa's been a nice story. I think Mike Evans is their best player, clearly. Chris Godwin's still getting it, but you're also facing one of the better secondaries and one of the best, better D lines you're going to face in Philly. I think they're going to get after Baker Mayfield. And also, I just look at it with Tampa to say the two teams that they have beat, the Vikings, which we have now understood are complete phonies, and the Bears, who are an unmitigated disaster. I really like the Eagles in this game, really.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Let me see what...
I don't think it's going to be that difficult of a cover. I would expect it.
Here's our super boost on Tipico. Use that code BigPlay150. AJ Brown first touchdown plus 1,000. Buccaneers plus 4.5 and over 46 in the totals plus 320. Baker Mayfield to get 24 pass completions plus 240. Those are all your boosts. I usually love the boost, man. I don't like any of those because I think the Eagles are just going to win. I think they're just going to roll in this game. So I'll take that minus the 5. To the nightcap, it's an hour later. The Rams take it on the Bengals. All questions on Joe Burrow. Ryan, I don't care about any of that because your under slam for this is 43.5. This line is going to move. I guarantee it on the over-under, depending on what Burrow does. The Rams, I'm even talking about the Bengals. Can I talk about the Rams for a second? And granted, the end of last year, they didn't have Matt Stafford, all that. 7 out of their last 10 away games, the under has hit. In this matchup between the Rams and the Bengals, the under is 0-5 in the last 5 meetings between these two teams. And for each of these squads, the under is 1-1. Both these teams are 1-1 as far as the under goes in their last couple games, but it's not necessarily because of their offense. We know what the Browns did against the Bengals in week 1. For the Rams, they put up 30 against Seattle, which was good to see, and 23 against a pretty stout San Francisco defense. I know it'd be easy to sit there and say it's more about the Rams scoring. I think the big factor in this is going to be Joe Burrow. And if his calf, if he does play, they are going to try to get the football out quick. You don't want him back there getting hit and getting hurt. So I think it's going to go under. I like the Bucks minus the 5. I like the Bengals Rams to go under. We're already got to get out of here. Appreciate everybody joining us this morning. We're back tomorrow 9 to 11. Chico coming up 12 to 2. iHeart Big Play app. Get it there. We're gone. For Ryan Tyler, I'm Matt Fontana. It's always a little sweeter on a Victory Monday. Take it easy.